The sun blazed over Westfield International Airport, reflecting off the polished fuselage of a Gulfstream G700 that had somehow refused to start. Mechanics milled about, shaking their heads in disbelief. This was supposed to be routine, but every attempt to restart the engine ended in failure. Panic threaded through the air like electricity, and Aurora Sinclair, CEO of Sinclair Aerospace, watched the chaos from behind the tinted glass of the VIP lounge, her arms crossed, her face a mask of calm hiding the anxiety underneath. Through the hangar doors, a beat-up pickup truck roared onto the tarmac. Dust swirled behind it, drawing curious and judgmental eyes from every angle. Marcus Carter stepped out, his worn toolbox in hand. Executives in tailored suits exchanged skeptical glances. "Is this the expert they called?" whispered one. Marcus didn't respond. He never did. For the past 15 years, his hands had repaired more high-end aircraft than most certified technicians combined. Today, those hands had one job: save a jet from failing mid-flight. The runway supervisor approached cautiously. "Our engineers haven't been able to fix it. You have 2 hours before the private flight takes off. If you don't, we'll call Atlanta." Marcus nodded, his eyes fixed on the massive craft. The Gulfstream gleamed like liquid silver. He set his toolbox down and opened the main panel, studying the engine. The problem was worse than anyone imagined. A critical pressurization system had failed, misdiagnosed by every other technician as a minor electrical fault. If the jet took off like this, depressurization at 45,000 feet would be catastrophic. Marcus rolled up his sleeves and began working. His hands moved with methodical precision, cutting through wires, tightening connections, recalibrating sensors. No one around him realized they were witnessing not a repair, but a miracle in motion. From the terminal, Aurora watched quietly. There was no contempt in her eyes, only observation, intrigue, and growing recognition of skill. She didn't look at the nervous executives or muttering assistants. She looked at Marcus. He didn't flinch under her gaze. His focus was absolute. 30 minutes passed. Sparks, oil, and heat filled the air, but Marcus kept working. Then, finally, the panel clicked into place, system stabilized, the jet's hum turned steady and alive. Marcus wiped his hands on a rag, gathering his tools. It was done, lives were saved. The executives' disbelief turned into murmurs, and some cheered quietly. Marcus didn't seek recognition. For him, perfection was expected, and life had taught him to work in silence. Aurora walked out onto the tarmac, alone, her heels clicking sharply against the concrete. She approached Marcus, ignoring the confused stares of her staff. "How long would it have taken them to find the real problem?" she asked. "They would never have found it in time," Marcus replied bluntly. "The jet would have failed mid-air. Everyone on board would have been at risk." Her eyes studied him, sharp and calculating. "You saved more than a jet today, Marcus. You saved lives and maybe something bigger." Marcus tilted his head, unsure of what she meant, but didn't speak. Aurora smiled slightly and reached into her bag, pulling out a tablet. She swiped and opened documents. Original blueprints for the pressurization system, signed M.J. Marcus Carter's initials. His work had been stolen years ago, credited to the arrogant chief engineer who had tried to undermine him. The system had saved millions for the company, but recognition never went to Marcus. Marcus listened quietly as Aurora outlined the situation. Evidence, documents, proof, everything meticulously collected. She wasn't just acknowledging him. She was offering him power, position, and justice. Before he could respond, she leaned forward slightly. "Marcus, I want you to lead my engineering division. Not tomorrow, not later, today. Make it yours. Show me what you've been capable of all along." Marcus blinked. This was decades in the making. The humiliation, the silent struggle, the stolen recognition, it all culminated here. But the shock wasn't over. Aurora paused, her lips curving into a rare smile. "And," she added with weight in her voice, "if you're willing, I'd like to know you beyond the workshop too." He froze. The tarmac, the engines, the executives all faded around them. The offer was as shocking as it was unexpected. A billionaire, powerful and poised, offering both professional respect and personal interest. It was impossible, yet undeniable. Marcus finally exhaled. "Then, let's take off," he said, a half-smile forming as the jet behind them hummed with life. Executives watched silently, jaws tight, whispering in awe. The man they had mocked just an hour ago had rewritten every expectation about skill, talent, and dignity. And for Marcus, it wasn't just the job, the money, or recognition, it was validation. A lifetime of struggle and prejudice, transformed into triumph, witnessed by the one person whose approval had always mattered most. Aurora extended her hand, not just in agreement, but in partnership. Marcus shook it firmly, strength and gratitude in every movement. Together, they walked toward the jet, a team now ready to take on the skies and the world beyond. Shadows lingered on the runway. The arrogant chief engineer, watching from a distance, clenched his fists. He had underestimated Marcus Carter one final time and for the first time realized the consequences of his arrogance. Marcus wasn't just a mechanic. He was brilliance hidden in plain sight, patience turned into strategy, the proof of what the world had refused to acknowledge. As the jet roared to life behind them, engines vibrating like a heartbeat, one truth remained clear: sometimes the world refuses to see your worth. Until you make it impossible to ignore, the story of Marcus Carter would spread far beyond that runway, inspiring a generation of young engineers, dreamers, and fighters, proving that brilliance, perseverance, and courage could never be confined by prejudice. Somewhere, above the clouds, a billionaire smiled not just for the jet, but for the man who had reminded her that true talent could not and would not be ignored.